Looking at the markets, the rand is hovering back to 19 rand to the dollar as the greenback continues to track gains. Benguela Global Fund Managers Senior Portfolio Manager Grant Nader joins us now to dissect the latest market-moving stories. Very good afternoon to you, Grant. Perhaps give us an overview of how the markets are faring so far today. I see the rand is back at 19 rand to the dollar.
Good afternoon. Indeed, the rand it was strong on Wednesday. And we missed quite a lot of action over the public holiday yesterday. Markets globally were very strong. We saw the Swiss central bank came out and cut rates unexpectedly, and that was a positive catalyst for markets. The Fed said they were going to continue with the rate cutting expectations for later this year. It was also another positive for commodities, especially. And then subsequent to that, there was some really strong data that came out in the US. So you put those all together, you've had strong global markets, strong commodities, and what we're seeing is a really strong day on the JSE today, playing a bit of catch up to what we missed. The day's been led by the precious metals, by the miners, and then some of the telcos where there's some corporate action and things like that. So a very strong day at this point. It is quite illiquid. A lot of people are away today. So we'll see, I think, on Monday how much follow through there is. But on the face of it, a very nice green day across the board.
Yeah. South Africa's benchmark 2030 government bond was weaker in early deals, with the yield up 1 basis point to 10.43%. Is there any improvement there?
So not significantly today, but I think we need to bear in mind over the past month, the yield has gone from 10% up to 10.5%. Or even further at one point, and it's gradually coming down back toward the 10.40. So I'm hoping we'll see an ongoing strengthening there, and that will depend on the global rates outlook. So if we see some further inflation or falling inflation globally, which points to more confidence in the US cutting rates and the UK cutting rates, etc., that should actually support our long bond as well. So on the day, it's not doing much, but the trend over the last week has been in the right direction, which is lower. So that's encouraging.
Telkom's reached an agreement with a consortium in a deal that gives SwiftNet an enterprise value of 6.75 billion rand. Talk us through the specs of the sale and how the share price has, in response, responded.
So the share price has responded well. It's up 5% on that news. It's long been stated by Telkom management and asked for by shareholders that they unlock a lot of value by spinning off a lot of these non-core assets. Remember, MTN as well has spun off their tower business. So the SwiftNet is their tower business. They're going to sell it to a consortium with Royal Bafokeng in it, among others. 6.75 billion, as you said. I think what we must bear in mind is there's a 3.6 billion debt in that. So that would need to be adjusted. But at the end of the day, it's a positive value unlock for Telkom. They've got more assets as well. They've got a lot of property assets. So if they continue on this vein, it is positive. Allow them to focus on their core business. And it works out to about 7 times the earnings before interest, tax and depreciation, the EBITDA. So it's a decent price. It looks like a fair price. There's still some regulatory hurdles that will need to be cleared. It's not clear yet how the funding is being sourced. Some is equity, some is debt. So it's unclear quite as to how and when the transaction goes through. But overall, a very good transaction. It's the kind of thing you want to see, management focusing on the core business and unlocking value where they can. So a good reaction and a good deal from what I can tell.
Yeah. Transaction Capital has inked about a 720 million rand deal for its Newzroom Australia business. Will this cash injection help its balance sheet?
It will definitely help. So they still keep the Newzroom SA and they have Gomo in there. They have a couple of good little businesses. But of course, it's all been clouded by the SA Taxi hangover. They've got, I think in context, the SA Taxi's debt was around 16 billion. So the number's not that big on its own. Having said that, a lot of that debt is ring-fenced into SA Taxi. So this will directly benefit Transaction Capital and not be sucked up into the SA Taxi problem. So it is definitely a positive. It will allow them to put more capital into the SA businesses where they see opportunity. And remember, of course, and they raised 900 million from that. So if you put the two together, it's over 1.5 billion that they're going to have to shore up the business and spend on growth in some of their better businesses that they still hold. So it's a good move for them. Stock's up around 4.5%, post a big move on Wednesday when We Buy Cars listed. So it's encouraging, at least from that point of view.
Very well. Thank you so much, Senior Portfolio Manager Grant Nader of the Benguela Global Fund Managers, giving us a sense of how the markets are faring.